Greetings, coders. In this video, we're going to look at file operations, basically how to open and close files and read from them. First things first, when we're working with C files, we're going to need a variable that is a file pointer. And it looks something like this: file with a star and then the identifier name or the variable name. And it is a pointer, but there's nothing to see here. It's fine. Just follow the format of it. You don't need to know anything else about it for right now until we get to pointers, but you will need that to open files. So how do we open a file? Well, we basically set that file pointer using the function fopen. And it looks something like this: fopen with the path to the file, and then how we want to open it. What sort of access do we want to open the file for? If we want to open it for write access, to write to a file, it's a W. If we want to open it for read access, it's an R. So the full statement using an fopen is going to look something like this. To write out to a file, we can use fprintf. And it works just like printf, except we now have a file pointer parameter that's at the very first parameter now. We now have a file pointer variable that is the very first parameter. We can use standard out, and then it would operate just like printf. We could use std out, a variable that's built into C, just like the std in we've talked about before, and fprintf works exactly like printf. So we'll use the file that we just opened, and it must have been opened in write mode, and then we'll use fprintf to write out to the file. If we open it, say we wanted to open the file name, just a file named file name, and then we have an output string, write me out to the file, and then we have fprintf with my file, which is the file pointer, and then %s, and then out string. We'll write that out to the file, and then we close the file. Now all files will be closed technically at the end of execution. However, fclose ensures that it's closed and also prevents any corruption or any other problems that might happen through an automated closing process. We can also use fgets to get input from a file. So instead of stdin that we've talked about before, which uses a built-in file pointer, we just use fopen. And so fgets, so instead of writing to a file, we can read from a file. And one tool that we can use to do this is fgets, to read in strings from a file. So we'll use fgets, and instead of using standard in, which is a built-in file pointer for standard input, we will use fopen to open our file that we want, and then pass that into fgets. Looking at the code below, we can see that the standard in was replaced just with the link to the file that we opened, the file pointer. And then of course we close the file. Why do we close the files? As I mentioned before, we want to close the files even though they might be automatically closed at the end of execution, because it can cause corruption or other issues with the file. Last thing we're going to look at is the statement rewind, or the function rewind. Rewind resets the file pointer to the beginning of the file. Say we have file, fopen, example text, and we read in a bunch into our buffer, then print out how much, what we read. We can rewind the file, and then it will move the file pointer back to the start of the file, and we can just read it all over again. And then we close the file. That's it for this video.